Last Christmas, my girlfriend got me this bucket list poster of 100 movies to watch. It's pretty cool, got some good stuff on here, but the problem is I've seen like 90% of the movies because I watch way too many movies.
Not to worry.
She came out with a genius solution. I am to rewatch all the movies before I can check them off the list. So let's do a little. That means I have to watch 8.3 movies a month, or just under 2 a week.
Now that's f***ing dope, huh?
I've been doing this for 2 months now, and I've only watched 11 movies, so I'm a bit short from the 8.3 movies per month. Oops, I still have heaps of time to catch up though, so it doesn't matter. I didn't start till the 1st of January, so I have till the 1st of January 2021 to finish.
Let's get to it.
Memento was pretty great. This is Christopher Nolan's 2000 film about a guy trying to avenge his wife's murder. It's presented in such a neat way, where the entire film is backwards, where each scene takes place after the next scene, essentially starting the movie at the end and finishing at the start. The main character has an inability to create new memories, short-term memory loss type thing, so the weird scene order helps us get into the shoes of the main character, and we never know what's really going on. It's a very interesting way to tell a story. Nolan usually fucks around with time in his films, never being conventional, but sometimes it gets annoying and it seems out of place. But in this movie, it just fits. Guy Pearce probably gives off his best performance ever. Really enjoyable. I give this 5 stars. Absolutely love this movie. I've seen it heaps in the past, but it was great to watch it again. I'll probably analyze this film more in depth sometime in a Christopher Nolan Best Director video sometime in the future. I didn't really expect much from this film, and I probably never would have watched it anyway if it wasn't for this bucket list. It was just kind of boring. I was hoping for something more or less like La La Land, a cute romantic movie starring Ryan Gosling, but sadly there is only one La La Land. There are 2 stories going on at once. One is about a young couple meeting each other and falling in love, and the other is about an old couple in a nursing home. Spoiler alert, even though it's super fucking obvious, the old couple and the young couple are the same couple. They've just all grown up. The young couple sections are super predictable and boring, and nothing took me by surprise or blew me away. But the old couple sections was where it was at. It was a very unique story about a man trying to fix his wife's dementia and remind her of their love. It was very sweet, and it actually made me cry.
Gonna cry?
I wish this was a part of a different movie or on its own altogether. I've given this 2.5 stars, and it's kinda not worth watching apart from maybe for the old couple scenes, but I wouldn't recommend it. The Lion King is probably my favorite classic Disney film. It is either that or Aladdin. Every aspect of this film is so amazing. The animation is beautiful. So much heart and hard work went into the character design and the backgrounds. I'm sad that you don't see too much 2D animation nowadays. I really want Disney to go back to their roots and make more like this. The characters are so likable and fun. They may be a little flat, not being too complicated, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially in a film for kids. I still can't believe that in 1994, Disney made a kids movie, where we see a child watch his father die before his eyes. It's so sad and gets me every time I watch it.
Cry?
I'm not a big fan of Timon and Pumbaa. They can get a little annoying with their fart jokes and whatnot, but they're a good break from the depressing sections. Scar is pretty great and probably my favorite character. Jeremy Irons gives off a great performance, and the soundtrack is stellar, being so catchy and enjoyable, with great dancers to complement it. 5-star film. The remake is hot garbage, don't watch it. This is actually one of my favorite James Bond movies. I really like Daniel Craig in the role, much better than most of the previous Bonds. This movie felt more intelligent than most previous Bond films, which I've always felt were goofy and dumb fun. This movie actually felt like there were some realistic stakes to Bond's mission, opposed to Blofeld blowing up the moon or some shit. I did really like the references to previous Bond films, criticizing the ridiculous gadgets that Bond has. After watching this film, I was like,
Shit, Negro, that's all you had to say.
And binged the rest of Daniel Craig's Bond films. I thought Skyfall was a better film overall, much better direction I would say. I love playing poker, so seeing a spy movie revolving around a high stakes poker game was very interesting. Mads Mikkelsen was really enjoyable as the Bond villain, having this very interesting characteristic of crying blood. The movie kinda refused to end though. Every time I thought it was done and expected to see the credits roll, it just kept going. Could have been improved with a tighter length. 3.5 stars. If you want to watch a Bond film, I would recommend this one, then watch Skyfall. They kinda complement each other. Groundhog Day is the daddy of time loop movies. Move aside Edge of Tomorrow and Happy Death Day because this movie is great. Bill Murray plays a piece of shit weatherman who has to relive the same day over and over again until he has the perfect day so he can be released from the time loop. Murray's character growth is fun to see as he progresses from a dick to being a nice guy. The small town that he was stuck in seems so lively, with so many small characters that made up the townsfolk, including a young Michael Shannon. What the hell? This movie is very funny, being carried by Bill Murray's comedic acting. It benefited from having a fun, whimsical score that helps keep the film light, even when bad things are happening. A negative I would say is the fact that this movie doesn't really have much to say. I guess the moral is... Actually, I take it back. That is a good moral.
Don't be a dick!
This is just a fun film, but it won't make you ponder on anything too much after you see it. It's just good escapism. I've given this 4 stars. I would recommend it. It's a good fun family film. I have mixed feelings on The Matrix. Everyone always praises The Matrix and saying it's a masterpiece, the best action film. Well, allow me to red pill you and tell you that this movie isn't that great. Nothing about this film is exceptional. There are some well choreographed fight scenes, but nothing that I haven't seen anywhere else. And the only acting that was actually good was Lawrence Fishburne, who admittedly did a great performance. Keanu Reeves wasn't that good in this movie, and I think Keanu stands are lying to themselves when they say he is. He barely emotes and is mumbling his lines the entire time. I do like him in his modern movies though, like John Wick, after
He just grew that stupid beard.
And don't get me started on the symbolism. If you look ham-fisted up in the dictionary, it says, refer to the Matrix. The biblical references are so blatant and obvious, it actually hurts me. I feel like this is a good movie for people to watch if they're first getting into film analysis. It's like film analysis on easy mode. There is no hidden symbolism or metaphor anywhere. There's just big neon signs everywhere saying, hey look, Neo is basically Jesus. Isn't that so fucking deep? The visual effects were pretty exceptional for the time though. Looking a bit dated now, but they were revolutionary for their time, and helped pave the way for modern visual effects. I've given this 3.5 stars, which may be a little too high, but my nostalgia might be upping the score a little bit. Who knows? This movie is great, even though I couldn't tell you what was going on. This is the second time I've seen it, the first being years back. I feel like this movie has to be watched at least 50 times before you can understand its genius. It is genius though. It is about a businessman, Patrick Bateman, who's trying to mask his psychopathic tendencies from his colleagues. Christian Bale gives an amazing performance as usual. This may be his best role, bringing so much energy and veracity to the role. His character is hiding his boredom with humanity with an extremely eccentric personality, coming across kinda like a parody of Jim Carrey. A way I liked his psychopathic nature being conveyed is through the music. He is a big fan of music, but is obsessive over the history and background of the songs, going against what normal people do and just listen and enjoy. There is a great shot at the beginning of the film where he's taking off a face mask that I really liked. It resembled him shedding a layer of skin, like a snake. The ending of the film might leave much to be desired though. It is intentionally ambiguous to make you question what is going on, but I would have liked it to be slightly more clear and easier to interpret. Even one of the writers said that she wished she had made it less ambiguous, as people were interpreting things in the film that was not intended. Maybe on a future watch I could gain more insight. Right now I've got it at a 4 stars, but I feel like that could go higher as I did really enjoy it. I love Shaun of the Dead, a 5-star film. If you want to hear me talk more about this film, watch my Edgar Wright Best Director video. This movie is a classic. It was made in 1981, when Spielberg actually made good movies. It is about an archaeology professor who is in search of the lost Ark of the Covenant. Pretty much everything about this movie is amazing. Indiana Jones is probably my favorite Harrison Ford role, seeing that I'm not a big fan of Blade Runner. Ford brings such charm and charisma to the role that I can't help smile every time he says his dumb one-liners.
I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them!
The set pieces were out of this world, with amazing practical effects that hold up even today. This movie starts with a series of booby traps, all being done practically, that start the movie off at a very high level. I can't underestimate the merits of starting a film well, and then holding that quality throughout the film. And the score is pretty incredible, being some of John Williams' best work. There is a great fight next to a plane that is pretty amazing to watch. Maybe one of the best choreographed fight scenes ever, with actors and set pieces working in tandem to make a very exhilarating scene. The one negative I would say about this film is the fact that it's not The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade is the 3rd Indiana Jones movie, and is better than Raiders in every way, with better acting, better set pieces, and even a better story. Every time I want to watch an Indiana Jones movie, I always watch The Last Crusade, so at least I'm glad this bucket list forced me to watch the first Indiana Jones again, because it is pretty great. 4.5-star movie, I really like it, but The Last Crusade is so much better. If you ask me what the trashiest movie that I loved was, Mean Girls would be my answer. This was one of the first movies I watched off the bucket list, because I feel like it is an any mood movie. It is a trashy teen comedy about a student who is going to high school for the first time and starts hanging out with the popular girls, and becomes the worst person. If you mathematically broke down this film, it would technically be a terrible movie. But I feel like every aspect in this works so well together. It's just so funny, even though I cringe at so many of the lines. This is the movie that I quote the most, with lines such as,
So if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
She doesn't even go here!
Make love to your woman on the bathroom floor. I don't play it like Shaggy. You'll know it was me, because the next time you see her, she'll be like, Kevin G!
All the acting is pretty garbage, especially Lindsay Lohan, who has never acted in anything well in her entire life. She is pretty cute though. Nothing that I usually care about in film is done exceptionally well in this. The camera work is bland and unimportant, the score is forgettable, and any remnants of the underlying message or symbolism is hit over the head constantly. I should hate this film, yet I love it. 4 stars. I would definitely recommend this movie but don't go into it thinking it's some sort of art or anything. So that's all the movies from the list that I watched in January and February. I'll make videos like this monthly or maybe every 2 months to update the list and give analysis. I'll leave a list on my letterbox with the rankings of the movies in the list. Feel free to go check that out and give me thoughts in the comments on what you thought. And subscribe so you can catch my next update. I'll be getting the second half of my Taika Waititi video out soon.